What's going on, people? Myke C-Town here. Quick video about my recent trip to Chicago. This isn't my normal thing, so if you guys don't care about this, you're more than welcome to click it off. But I recently went to Chicago with my girlfriend. She surprised me on my birthday back in June with a round-trip ticket. And the whole point was she wanted to see Jawbreaker because they were playing at Riot Fest and she'd never seen them. And I absolutely loathe festivals. I don't like being outside for long periods of time. I don't like loud music for multiple straight days. I especially don't like being around large groups of people for extended periods of time. I don't want them talking to me. I don't want them bumping into me. I don't want them touching me. I really hate festivals. But there were a couple bands that were playing that I wanted to see, and of course I love Jawbreaker, and I'd never been to Chicago before, either one of us. So there was a chance of seeing some old friends who I hadn't seen in over a decade, so I was like, fuck it, let's do it. Quick word about the flight. I got stuck next to this guy who was a total dick. He smelled like wet asshole, and his big body kept spilling over into my seat. But at one point, a few Middle Eastern gentlemen got on the plane, and they're wearing the large head wraps. I don't remember the cultural name for those, but he leans over to me and he says something along the lines of, you know, we better watch these motherfuckers, right? And I don't know why the fuck he thought that that was an okay thing to do. Like, the average person is just an openly bigoted asshole, right? And I just looked at him like, what the fuck? And I think the fact that I kind of turned my shoulder this way gave the impression like, yo, you are not allowed to talk to me for the rest of this trip. Anyway, we stayed at the Kempton Monaco, which was a super nice place. We walked around Chicago quite a bit on the first day. We had lunch at this place called Handlebar, which was fucking awesome. I had this country fried portobello breakfast thing, and my girl had this vegan breakfast chimichanga, and both of them were insanely good. While there, we also got to check out this place called the Chicago Diner with my friend Dave, who I hadn't seen in years. And that place was also super good. Chicago's got some good-ass vegan food, man. The milkshakes at the Chicago Diner, fucking insanely amazing. I also got to check out this place called the Upside Down, which is a Stranger Things themed bar. Really, really cool place. Stranger Things decor, drinks named after the characters like the Demogorgon, which I had, and I thought that that drink was super good. And funny thing is, Netflix recently sent them a cease and desist letter, so I'm glad I got to see it before it was gone. We also did the architecture tour, which was nice. It takes you around Chicago on a big-ass boat and shows you all the different types of architecture that Chicago has. It was cool, but it was super expensive, and it was an hour and a half long. And after about 30 minutes straight up, I was completely overlooking at buildings. And the worst thing about it was outside in the sun, and Chicago was uncharacteristically warm while we were there. It was like the upper 80s, which was no good. We were planning on some cool, windy weather, so Chicago, you fucked us on that. So about Riot Fest. As I said, I hate festivals, so we didn't go for entire days. We would try to go for only the bands we wanted to see. And the bands we saw on Friday, we saw a bit of New Order, who were really good, but they played like they really didn't give a fuck about being there. We saw 9 Inch Nails. I didn't get any footage of them, but they were amazing, as they always are. But that's pretty much all we saw on Friday. On Saturday, we saw Reviver, who was the only band outside of Jawbreaker who I just had to see. I've loved those guys for a long time, and live, they were just fantastic. I also wanted to see Danzig, who was doing Danzig 3, which is my favorite Danzig album, but when I arrived, they were already playing, and god damn it, they sounded like dog shit. So I don't really care that I didn't see their full set, but I also got to see At the Drive-In, who's always really good live. I saw a bit of Wu-Tang, who was doing 36 Chambers in full, and that shit was really good. On Saturday, I also got to meet Logan, Mr. L Mounts, so that was really cool, even though I kind of felt like I spent the whole time talking about how many bands that he likes that I completely don't like. So, sorry about that, Logan. Next time, I'll try not to be such a dick. Side note, Saturday night, I also got lost on the way back to the fest from the train. And the fest is in a really shitty area, according to what I read online. And I ended up having to ask for directions, and the guy told me to go up to this alley and take a left. So I fucking did. And there was not a single other person on this dark Chicago alley except this woman who was just walking towards me silently. It was like the scene of a fucking horror movie. And as she got closer, I noticed that she had a labret piercing with a long chain from it with a dangly cross. And I don't know why, but I was certain that I was going to die that night. Obviously, I didn't. Heading on into Sunday, that was the big day. That day we saw Captain Jazz, who was great, even though their singer is a total fucking nutcase. We also saw a bit of Pennywise, who they seem to get worse and worse as time goes along. They should really consider not playing live anymore. We also saw a bit of TV on the Radio, who was great. Saw some Dinosaur Jr., which was fucking awesome. Then we saw Prophets of Rage. And for those of you that don't know who Prophets of Rage is, it's Chuck D, Be Real, and the Rage Against the Machine guys. And holy fucking shit, they were horrible. As much as I respect all of those guys, that shit was fucking embarrassing. It sounded like a bad Battle of the Bands tryout. Like they were doing awful covers of each one of their group's songs, and it was super cringy. I felt so uncomfortable being there. It was like watching a person with no legs trying to finish a marathon. Like, you're just sitting back like going, man, at least you're trying, dude, but I really hope this is over very soon. Then Jawbreaker came up, and they were awesome. They played a lot of songs from Dear You, which I didn't expect, but they definitely took me straight back to 1995, and I always love it when bands do that. And I really hope they tour, because this show was just too fucking good. So that's kind of it. We had a good time, but overall, my impression of Chicago is it's a little bit less busy version of New York with far less character. Like, the dirt and the grime there is just dirt and grime, whereas in New York, I feel like the smut tells a story and it adds to the city's personality. And maybe I just didn't get the personality of Chicago because I wasn't there for very long. So I don't mean to insult anyone that is from there or loves this city. It wasn't a bad place, but there's just really no reason for me to ever go back there unless there's another big event there. But it was cool seeing these bands. It was cool meeting Logan. It was cool seeing my friend Nancy and my friend Dave, who I haven't seen either of them in over a decade. But yeah, I just don't see myself going back to Chicago, man. Oh, and it was really cool getting this shirt there. This is from a company called London 1888. They do lots of horror movie themed shirts, patches, pins, that kind of stuff. I'll put a link in the description section down there, so make sure you guys go check them out. I met them at the fest. Really, really, really cool people. So that's it. I will get back to my normal videos very soon. But, as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. Please don't die, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright? Peace, bitches!